राष्ट्रपति बराक ओबामा और प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी ने हैदराबाद हाउस में वॉक एंड टॉक कार्यक्रम में शिरकत की। हैदराबाद हाउस के लॉन में घूमते दोनों नेताओं ने अहम मुद्दों पर बातचीत की। लंच के साथ दोनों नेता लॉन में साथ साथ पहुंचते हुए नजर आए और चाय की चुस्कियों के साथ आपसी मसलों पर चर्चा करते हुए भी नजर आए। और इस वक्त संवाददाता श्याम सुंदर मौजूद है गिरीश हमारे साथ हैदराबाद हाउस से।
Shyam, we just saw the two leaders, very impressive visuals here in the Hyderabad house, the beautiful garden laid out there. The two leaders were seen walking around and then went and sat and had a cup of tea and then they moved back into the Hyderabad house. Now what is happening there?
Well, after this program, after both the leaders had a chat in the lawns of Hyderabad House. Now delegation level talks have started in Hyderabad House. All the journalists are allowed inside, and after these delegation talks, there will be a press meet by both the leaders, and they will tell what kind of progress has taken place in delegation level talks. As far as the agenda is concerned, we know that the nuclear liability law of India is there on the agenda. US wants some kind of relaxation because US companies feel that it is a very harsh law and US companies are not able to supply instruments related to nuclear power industry. So US will be very keen, and then there are other issues related to defense agreement which was started in 2005 and it has to be renewed.
Shyam.
Yeah, Grish.
So, Shyam, what time is the media conference scheduled? Because we were told earlier that the media conference is at 3 o'clock, but now there seems to be a rescheduling of the whole thing.
Yes, and that is why all the media persons were waiting outside the Hyderabad house, and they were a few minutes back they were allowed inside the Hyderabad house, and it was supposed to be at 3, but now everything has to be rescheduled. As of now, it has not been announced that what time media briefing will be done by the both leaders, but there is speculation that after 2 hours, around 5 o'clock, there may be a media briefing by both the leaders in Hyderabad House.
Okay. So please keep a track of it. We'll get back to you whenever the media conference begins. Thanks, Shyam. We are now joined in by Dr. G. Balachandran, a senior fellow at the Institute of Defense Studies and Analysis, a nuclear scientist and also somebody who has been keeping a close watch on the nuclear issues in India for a very long time. Dr. Balachandran, welcome. Dr. Balachandran, we are now being told, we have discussed, if you remember it just a few days back, we discussed on this channel about the possibilities of any kind of agreement being worked out between India and the United States as far as the nuclear liability law is concerned. Now we are told that there may be some kind of a breakthrough there. Are you also hearing such things?
Look, I'm not in the loop at all, so I don't hear anything. But such an agreement is possible. In fact, I think it will be announced. My only question is, why did it take them 4 years to come to that agreement?
No, but if you remember that the kind of hitches which were there, which we had discussed on this channel quite extensively the other day, you think those hitches have been worked out? There had been a lot of doubts about it being worked out because it would come in the way of our laws. Without an amendment, those hitches cannot be removed. You think that any such solution being found is being done, without the law having to be amended?
Let me put it this way. Our law need not be changed at all. There need be no amendments to the Indian civil liability for nuclear damage. All of US concerns, companies' concerns can be taken care of within the existing legal framework. Therefore, my only question is, why did it take them so long?
You should tell us why it took so long.
बिल्कुल वाजिब जवाब है ये कि प्रोफेसर
I think
do you want to take this question?
simply they did a Balachandran to assist them.
प्रोफेसर रॉय, डू यू वांट टू टेक दिस क्वेश्चन कि 4 साल अगर यही होना था प्रोफेसर रॉय, तो इसमें 4 साल आखिर क्यों लगे? अगर मान भी लेते हैं कि कोई ब्रेक थ्रू मिल रहा है या मिल गया है, अभी तक कुछ ही लम्हों में पता चल जाएगा हमें प्रेस इंटरेक्शन जब होगा, लेकिन क्या सिर्फ पॉलिटिकल विल पावर की ये बात थी कि सब कुछ रखा हुआ था, सिर्फ 2 नेताओं को करीब आकर सिर्फ उसको एसिमिलेट करना था?
नहीं, there may have been compulsions on both sides. If at all there is a breakthrough on that, and as Dr. Balachandran says, there need not be any amendment to our existing laws. Well, let us wait and see to what extent American companies on this issue, on the nuclear issue, really get a breakthrough. It's not the administration that will get a breakthrough. It's the companies which will get a breakthrough.
Right.
And that's, as I was saying, to what extent this breakthrough will mean what President Obama has been able to bring for American companies. So that is that. It's a breakthrough more.
But this is the American perspective which you are talking about.
Yeah, I mean,
from our perspective, we will be looking at something else.
I don't know. I mean, Indians, to what extent Indians can be flexible? To what extent Indians can be flexible? That will determine to what extent India can be a long-term partner of the United States.
लेकिन प्रोफेसर रॉय और राजीव सिकरी जी, आप ही से बात करना चाहूंगी कि भारत में फिलहाल जो माहौल है, भोपाल गैस कांड के बाद जिस तरह की त्रासदी हमने देखी है, उससे अभी तक हम नहीं उबर पाए हैं, शायद अभी भी रोंगटे जो है खड़े हो जाते हैं सुनने के बाद। देश में आपको लगता है क्या इस तरह का माहौल है, खासकर ऐसे दौर में जहां मीडिया इतना एक्टिव है और किसी भी बात को पता लगाने में बिल्कुल वक्त नहीं लगता, PILs का ये दौर है, अगर जरा भी फ्लेक्सिबिलिटी का जिसका जिक्र कर रहे हैं, कुछ लोग उसे झुकना कहेंगे, क्या वाकई भारत इस स्थिति में है कि वो झुक जाए पॉलिटिकली, सोशली, और जिस तरह का दंश हम झेल चुके हैं पिछले सालों में?
देखिए, अगर हमने कुछ फ्लेक्सिबिलिटी दिखाई, अब पता नहीं ये इंश्योरेंस पूल का जो सा है, ये अगर कानून के फ्रेमवर्क में है तो ठीक है, पर अमेरिकन साइड से भी एक कंसेशन हुआ ये है कि उन्होंने वो ट्रैकिंग की जो सी डिमांड थी वो हटा दी है।
अभी कंफर्म नहीं है, लेकिन वही कह रहे हैं कि शायद IAEA ही कर लेगा, इतना तो काफी हो जाएगा।
दूसरी बात जो हमें मिलनी चाहिए वो ये है कि हमारे जो सी सदस्यता NSG और MTCR और वासेनार अरेंजमेंट और ऑस्ट्रेलिया ग्रुप में है, उसके लिए जिस तरह की हेवी लिफ्टिंग अमेरिका ने पहले की थी, अगर अमेरिका अब वो करेगा कि नहीं,
बहुत महत्वपूर्ण बात है। और ये मैं गोपाल बालाचंद्रन जी के पास जाना चाहूंगी सवाल के साथ। बालाचंद्रन जी, ये बताइए कि जिस तरह से जिक्र इस बात का हो रहा है कि पिछली बार जब राष्ट्रपति ओबामा आए थे तो काफी मजबूती के साथ भारतीय जनता के सामने उन्होंने ये कहा था कि जो रिफॉर्म्ड यूनाइटेड नेशंस होगा उसमें जो है वो भारत की एक बड़ी जगह होगी, लेकिन उन्होंने रिफॉर्म का जिक्र किया। क्या, 2 सवाल है महत्वपूर्ण। पहली बात, क्या यूनाइटेड नेशन सिक्योरिटी काउंसिल के रिफॉर्म का वक्त आ गया है? पहली बात, जिसमें कई लोग ये मानते हैं कि सबसे बड़ी अड़चन खुद अमेरिका है। दूसरी बात, क्या वाकई अगर ऐसा होता है और एक ऐसे सिनेरियो में एक अच्छी डील के तौर पर, एक अच्छे सौदे के तौर पर अमेरिका भारत का नाम आगे रखेगा?
देखिए, UN सिक्योरिटी काउंसिल मेंबरशिप इज अ वेरी कॉम्प्लिकेटेड इश्यू। अमेरिका अलोन सब कुछ नहीं कर सकता है, क्योंकि वहां 4 परमानेंट सिक्योरिटी मेंबर्स हैं, सब वोट करना चाहिए। चाइना कैसा वोट करता है देखना चाहिए। ये बहुत कॉम्प्लेक्स इश्यू है। सो ये नहीं कि अमेरिका सबको मार पीट कर बोल सकता है कि तुम इंडिया को सपोर्ट करो, तो दैट्स ए लॉन्ग टर्म इश्यू। अच्छा, मगर वो सपोर्ट करेगा बोला, जैसा एम्बेसडर सिकरी ने बोला था, वो कितना हेवी लिफ्टिंग करेगा वो जानना चाहिए। मगर वो हेवी लिफ्टिंग नहीं करेंगे कि हम बोलेंगे हम कोई लिफ्टिंग नहीं करेंगे, आप पूरा लिफ्टिंग करिए, हम आपके ऊपर बैठेंगे, वो भी नहीं हो सकता है।
जी हाँ, बहुत महत्वपूर्ण बात है राजीव सिकरी जी। ये जो रिश्ते हैं, जिस बोनहोमी का हम जिक्र कर रहे हैं, जिस गर्मजोशी की हम बात कर रहे हैं, गले मिलने की बात कर रहे हैं, एयरपोर्ट पर लेने की बात कर रहे हैं, ये सब कुछ आखिर ट्रांसलेट किस चीज में होगा? एक बार देख लिया बायलैटरल रिश्ते, यहाँ पर क्या मिलता है वो तो ठीक है, लेकिन जब ये सरहदें पार हो जाएंगी, राष्ट्रपति बराक ओबामा वापस चले जाएंगे, तब भारत को इंटरनेशनल स्टेज पर, जो कि सीधे तौर पर हम देख रहे हैं कि अमेरिका के साथ अलाइन कर रहा है, हमारी कुछ साल की पॉलिसी से काफी अलग है ये बात, अगर 1 दशक पहले से हम देख लें, जब से डॉक्टर मनमोहन सिंह ने इसकी ज्यादा बढ़ चढ़ कर शुरुआत की, तो तो किस तरह से भारत का साथ देगा, चाहे वो यूनाइटेड नेशन सिक्योरिटी काउंसिल हो, चाहे वो पाकिस्तान के खिलाफ आतंकवाद का मसला हो, इन तमाम मुद्दों पर क्या अमेरिका साथ साथ ऐसे ही आता हुआ नजर आएगा?
मेरे ख्याल इस बारी ये आगे बढ़ेंगे रिश्ते। एक बहुत बड़ी बात हुई है कि अब हमारे रिश्ते, द्विपक्षीय रिश्ते पाकिस्तान फैक्टर से नहीं निर्भर करते हैं, और अगर हमने इस न्यूक्लियर लायबिलिटी एक्ट अरेंजमेंट के ऊपर एक समझौता हो गया है तो वो भी मसला दूर है। अब हमारे रिश्ते बहुत ब्रॉड हो गए हैं, ग्लोबल पर्सपेक्टिव में देखने चाहते हैं। पहले बात हुई थी कि भाई अमेरिका की प्रेस नहीं कवर कर रही है, पर मैं आपको ये आश्वासन देता हूं कि चीन की प्रेस और वहां के नेता और सब प्रेक्षक देख रहे होंगे, बड़े ध्यान से देख रहे होंगे क्या हो रहा है। जापान वाले देख रहे हैं, ऑस्ट्रेलिया देख रहे हैं, यूरोप देख रहा है, क्योंकि जब अमेरिका और हिंदुस्तान इस तरह मिलते हैं तो ये एक जो सा संदेश है केवल दोनों मुल्कों में नहीं जाता, दुनिया भर में जाता है।
बड़ा संकेत है इसका,
बहुत संकेत है। क्योंकि देखिए, आपको याद होगा कुछ साल पहले हमें कुछ ऐसी आशंका थी कि अमेरिका और चीन मिलकर एक G2 ना बना लें, तो बाकी लोग भी अब समझते होंगे भाई अगर हिंदुस्तान और अमेरिका मिलकर कि G2 ये तो नहीं बन गया है। मतलब और अगर हिंदुस्तान के रिश्ते अमेरिका के साथ अच्छे होते हैं तो ये बाकी जो से अमेरिका के एलाइज हैं, अमेरिका के पार्टनर्स हैं, क्या यूरोप, क्या जापान, क्या ऑस्ट्रेलिया, ये सब कहेंगे
दबाव में आएंगे,
दबाव में आएंगे ना, उनको प्रभाव होगा।
जी और आप इसको इतनी अहमियत, इतना वजन देना चाहते हैं आप?
See, certain things again I would like to remind. One is that India is supposed to be a partner, not an ally. Second is that as far as India's relations with Pakistan are concerned, and America's relations with Pakistan are concerned, the Pakistan factor cannot be forgotten. Because America has not been very reliable regarding the Pakistan thing.
And also their geographical proximity with Afghanistan actually takes them back to that.
And America, the United States has never explicitly spoken about any important role for India in the Afghanistan crisis or putting Afghanistan back on the rails, back on the tracks. There are certain other things that need to be reminded. That one thing is an economic factor. The economic factor, the business factor is very important. So I will talk to that later. I'll talk about that later. So, but then what I mean is, as far as the economy is concerned, India is a prospective global market for the United States and important market, and American companies look forward to that. And again, I am emphasizing that the trade partnership is very important. If we forget the nuclear deal and everything.
लेकिन एक बहुत अहम सवाल जो इस वक्त पर पूछा जाना, पता नहीं कितना जायज है लेकिन फिर भी पूछा जाना चाहिए कि अमेरिका से जो नजदीकी है हमारी, उस नजदीकी का जो फ्लिप साइड है, अभी दुनिया उतनी यूनिपोलर भी नहीं है जितनी शायद कुछ दिनों पहले हुआ करती थी। उसका जो फ्लिप साइड है वो क्या है? इंटरनेशनल मैप पर किस तरह से देखा जाएगा अमेरिका के साथ इतना करीबी से अलाइन करना दूसरे देशों के जरिए? रूस का हम जिक्र कर लें, दूसरे देशों की हम बात करें।
See, India is not becoming an alliance partner of the United States. India is not an ally, a military ally. So that makes a lot of difference. India, you can still say that since India has not become an ally, India is still non-aligned. So it has already kept that non-aligned thing very protected. As far as its membership in an expanded United Nations Security Council is concerned, the United States will support that, India's inclusion, if it does not harm in any way or it does not become an obstacle towards the achievement of America's national interests.
Sorry, Mr. Sikri, all this is fine, but my question is this. You have been a diplomat for a long time, and these kind of, discussions take place. There are a lot of issues, from both sides are expecting from each other certain concessions to be made, certain deals to be made. How much of quid pro quo happens here?
No, always is. There has to be a quid pro quo.
To be a quid
and
pro
I think that...
And my question is this. If there has to be a quid pro quo, if India manages to come out with, agrees to do something as far as the nuclear liability law is concerned, what is it that India will expect from the United States?
As I told you, the membership of NSG, MTCR, investments, transfer of technology, all this will come. But one factor which I want to mention is that while we are getting closer to the United States, we have taken care not to damage our relationship with Russia and China.
Right.
Because both their leaders were also here and we gave them a very warm welcome. So it is not, so I think now what Mr. Modi is striving is that India should be a player on the same level as Russia and China and the United States. That there are some issues on which we can cut deals, on others we may differ, and we will play all sides. We will play all sides.
So we will play exactly the game with the United States itself
Absolutely.
plays. Because the whole, we in India keep looking at several things through the prism of China, or at least we think that they are looking at us through the prism of China.
We are wanting to cooperate with China, we want Chinese investment, but we are concerned about Chinese security aspects and
Right.
the relationship with Pakistan. So when India has a closer relationship with the United States, I think the Chinese also factor that in their policy.
Just like we need to factor in the US's relations with China or Pakistan.
Absolutely.
Yes, Professor.
Yeah, something that I forgot to say just now was, no one is talking about India's relations with Iran. That is a problem as far as the United States is concerned. See, for India, Iran is important because Iran is the only major Shia power in the world, and as a counterbalance to a nuclear Pakistan.
No, but do you expect that aspect that aspect to figure in the talks today?
Exactly.
Which is happening?
If I don't expect, I expect at least someone from the Indian media to question the American president about India's relations with Iran, more so when he himself has made overtures towards Iran, even though America does not consider Iran as a democratic country.
Let us get Dr. Balachandran in on this. But Dr. Balachandran, as far as quid pro quo is concerned, if what we are hearing is true, that there has been some kind of a breakthrough as far as the nuclear liability law is concerned, do you agree with Mr. Sikri what the quid pro quo would be, and what is it that India would be seeking for?
Now let me look. Ambassador Sikri is a very senior diplomat. There's hardly any problem in not agreeing with him. But let me put it this way: the Indian concession on nuclear liability law is a quid pro quo for US doing the Hyde Act and the energy exemption. You are talking as if we are doing something which they have not done. This is a quid pro quo for their efforts. So you can't go and say, I did a quid pro quo for yours and now you do another quid pro quo, whatever it is. But let me put it this way, yes, what are the things that can be done, should be done? We have got defense cooperation, technology cooperation, as Ambassador Sikri mentioned. Let's see how far we can advance on that. Then there are other issues on which we had MTCR, NSG, but there unfortunately all these go on a consensus basis. Will US push everybody towards the membership requirements as they did the last time? Or would the Chinese require a quid pro quo for letting India into energy? They might say, give the same degree of exemption to Pakistan as you did to India. How is the Americans don't want to do that? Should they do that? What do we feel about it? All these things have to be discussed. It's not the US controls the entry into all these four regimes. They can certainly help a lot.
Obviously.
And they can pressurize a lot of countries into supporting India.
Okay.
But they cannot dictate to all the countries.
Okay. Mr. Sikri, in fact, Dr. Balachandran is saying that what we are going to do now, if we are showing some concessions on this, is actually we are paying back for what we have already got. Would you agree with that?
Well, he is right, but then the Americans had also agreed in 2005 to facilitate our entry into the NSG. So in that sense, they have to fulfill that. See, everything got stuck because we could not proceed forward on this. If we can proceed forward, then all the other elements of the nuclear deal will come into play.
Right.
And this creates that better climate where both sides will make that extra effort to make sure that the commitments that they have undertaken are right. I think our relations have gone beyond the nuclear deal now. We don't want it, we understand that this is a symbolic and important matter and also a signal to the
No, but,
business of both countries, but I think the relations have gone way beyond the
Absolutely,
nuclear
it's
deal.
gone way beyond that. But do you think that, just in case, we will get to know very soon, but just in case there is no breakthrough, there is a breakdown of the on this issue at
doesn't
this point
matter.
of time. Do you think that it will be seen as some kind of would it be difficult for the US president to go back and face his people?
No. I think that I think there will be some progress, or if you have not signed the deal, then it will be just a screwdriver turn away. But even without that, I think the two sides will set that aside and move forward on so many other areas.
Absolutely. There are so many other areas. We have not been focusing much on the business aspect of it, the economy aspect of the investments aspect. That is what is primary concern of the US president. Would you agree with
make
that?
a point.
See,
Yes, sir. Sorry. Yes, Dr. Balchandran.
Look, I'm really very much puzzled by the fact everybody seems to talk about whether we'll be able to come to an agreement with the US on nuclear deal. Please understand, if we are not able to make the proper arrangements, the Indian industry will not supply to the Indian nuclear power. That's all. So it's not only US. The Indian industry is equally concerned.
Absolutely.
So anything that we do with US will be applicable to Indian suppliers as well.
Okay.
And unless we satisfy both of them, there is no future for nuclear power in India.
Right, you have been making this point, Dr. Balchandran, earlier also. Mr. Sikri, it's very interesting what Balchandran says. He says that this concession on the liability law is not just aimed at what the US suppliers, even the Indian domestic indigenous suppliers are not happy with this law.
Yeah.
And so we need to make this concession if we need our own domestic manufacturers to get into play.
Yes, of course, but the thing which has not been mentioned is that no deal will happen unless it's a commercially viable.
Right.
That is not yet proven. One other factor in the context of what Professor Roy said about Iran, I want to say, particularly as President Obama is going from here to Saudi Arabia.
Right.
I'm sure that what is happening in the region will be a subject of important discussion between the two leaders. Iran, Saudi Arabia, the interlinkages. ISIS. So this, I think, will be a very important...
And also Iran versus Saudi Arabia.
Iran versus Saudi Arabia. Now, if you recall a few years ago, we were given long lectures about Myanmar.
Right.
But we turned out to be right. Similarly, we have an enduring interest in Iran. And I think that has to be clearly explained to the Americans. We're very happy that America and Iran are talking, and hopefully some agreement will come.
And also,
through.
Professor, it becomes all the more important with the emergence of IS, and it's becoming so powerful that, America goes now back to Iran and talks to it really, while we know that Saudi Arabia, some of the section of Saudi Arabian government at least, or maybe people or some sections are funding and sponsoring IS.
Yeah, but the United States was not very concerned when many Indians were finding shelter in the IS, the Islamic State. They were seeking jobs in the Islamic State, if I may use the term. There was a discussion in my university once, and they said there were people who cannot find jobs. They went to the IS and so the IS had become at least as if it is a job creator for people who had not been able to. Yeah. What I wanted to say is that when President Clinton came to India, I heard, and it came out in the papers, that he brought certain, carpets. I think that what the present Indian government is doing is it is buying a carpet for President Obama to hide all the frictions that are there in the relations between the two countries. But then one day the carpet will wear. That is why I talked about Iran. See, for India, I am someone who would look at foreign policy from an ethno-national perspective. A Shia bomb is not a bad idea for India as a counterbalance to the Sunni bomb.
Okay.
Sorry, sir. Because India knows that India will never be a target of the Shia bomb.
No.
Okay.
But then,
Mr. Sikri, I don't think you would agree with what
I think that, this is not a carpet which is being bought and then it will wear out. I think we have to take the relationship to a level where we can have our differences, but then there is something more enduring that will continue. So there is something else to sustain it. You know, a few years ago, you could not have talked to the Americans without Pakistan. Today, Pakistan is not the most important factor. It is terrorism. Which
Absolutely.
is the other day, one of the former American ambassadors was mentioning that, you know, when Narasimha Rao came to the United States 20 years ago, the two the president and the prime minister were discussing Californian almonds. That's not something that will be discussed today. You know, these are not the issues.
No, in fact, it's very interesting what you pointed out that, because, you know, even in the media, if you see in the last 2-3 days that there has been this carpet coverage of the carpet coverage.
Carpet has become
You know, there is not much about what about Pakistan and what things what US will do with Pakistan.
See,
or what
earlier
will
the
do.
United States was looking at India from a South Asian perspective.
Absolutely.
Today, United States is looking India from a global
But
perspective.
Professor Roy, then how are Pakistanis at this moment looking at President Obama visiting India and becoming the chief guest for the Republic Day? What kind of feelings do you think will be in the security establishment and the political establishment in Pakistan?
See, of course, I can say that the Pakistanis will not take it, of course, in the right perspective. They will not, of course, be very happy with that. But let me say again another thing as a reminder, that India always wanted a tag of a terrorist state for Pakistan from the United States. That means this tag of terrorist state from United States was important for India. But then when India was branded as a tormentor of religious minorities, you know, that India was not willing to accept from the United States. That report on religious freedom that the State Department brings out, India was put as a tormentor of religious minorities, but India was regarding it as a violation of its, the internal matters. Fine, sir, that's Indian internal politics. But then, if you have to accept that the tag of terrorist state for Pakistan is important, then you must accept a violator of religious minorities also to be important. But India is not willing to accept that.
चलिए फिर इस डिस्कशन को आगे बढ़ाएंगे, लेकिन फिलहाल सीकरी जी